segment, because on the face of it, it really sounds like, oh my God, it's going to be easy, right? The way the banks or the financial services, they are doing the KYC, what's going to be different or what's going to be challenging through a video, you know, probably it's going to be more easy. But if you think from a customer standpoint as well, this is very difficult. So before I hand over the session to you to discuss your insights on this particular segment on video KYC, I was sharing this personal experience in the first session today, that recently I was taking the services from a bank. And then voila, they said that everything can be done through video KYC. And I was like, okay, fine, let me experiment that, being into this industry. So immediately within a couple of seconds, I was redirected to the bank's URL, wherein the bank representative was there with the entire ID, everything, well, properly in place, with the background, everything set, that everything is real. So he asked me that, ma'am, why did you share your documentation, as you would have seen the message? But me being me, so of course I was like, I had to prod him further, right? To see that how this entire thing is working and whether this is something real or not. So I told him that, how can I be sure that you're from the bank? So he told me, ma'am, please see my ID card. So he was displaying his ID card. So it was a little bit hazy, but of course I could see that the name of the bank and his name, etc. Then I told him that, okay, I'm okay. Probably I'll do the video KYC at a later stage. And he got a little bit panicked. So he told me that, ma'am, please, it's just going to take not even minutes, just fraction of seconds. So then I told him that, hey, I'm really going to take up that particular service, your product. I'm definitely going to take that, but please bear with me. I'll come back. So then again, he was just trying to, you can say, sell me the idea that this is a secure platform. Please don't get scared. You are free to share your documentation, and everything is being safe and secure in this particular environment. So on that experience, Bushraj, I would really like to share, to have you share your insight for this particular stuff, that how it was being handled, and then probably in your recent experience as well, did you still see the kind of hesitation when we talk about the customer and the organization per se?
Correct. So I think what actually started off, this was during pandemic, when actually RBI released a guideline where they actually allowed all the banking institutions to use video KYC as one of the modes to authenticate onboard customers when the physical meeting or face-to-face meeting was not possible. And I think that has still continued. Banks have realized the benefit of it. Even the consumers have seen the convenience and the things of it, and that has continued. So I think what actually helps is video KYC. One is obviously you get a dedicated link from the bank. So obviously you can verify from the URL itself, because the video APIs help you integrate within the bank's website. The video KYC tool. So that obviously is one of the security criteria which you can evaluate before doing this. And within the banks, obviously there is there are multiple internal system is there are multiple authentication things happening. So one is the guy who actually does the video KYC. So he is basically collector. Then after that, it actually goes back to the auditor within the bank process, who actually verifies all the documents. And then it is actually taken to a step for further confirmation on all those things. So there are multiple checks within the bank itself, which allows the proper verification of the credentials, the documents which have been submitted. So, and I think RBI has done a fantastic job in ensuring that is done in a secure manner. But yeah, obviously the concerns earlier used to be like your APIs are actually, there are third-party providers out there. So I think those are getting addressed with the banks providing proper checks in place, the encryption of the APIs and the streaming platform. Also ensuring that your videos or you're able to do it at a very low bandwidth as well, because most of the people in rural areas where the internet bandwidth was a challenge, probably that is also one of the use cases which most of the banks are trying to solve. And with Jio coming up with better networks at a cheaper price, that has also helped banks to address it. Also look at the kind of convenience. So the major, I think, the drawback which people have seen is in the way you actually mentioned, right? It is more of the scheduling. So video KYC itself is actually a maybe 2 to 3 minutes task. They first of all ask you to submit all the documents. So basically one e-KYC is done, and then there's a physical verification which happens obviously through video, where they actually ask you to display your PAN card, take a photograph and blink your eyes to ensure that that's a real person, because there are a lot of deep fakes and happening out there. So that ensures, and also when it is a camera, the geo locations are also getting tagged. So it ensures that you are okay and present in the right city and the right location while your photos are getting captured and PAN card details are getting ensured. But the problem is the same, the way the scheduling of the KYC, right? People are normally like they might be traveling or they are not in the right place to do a video KYC. So scheduling the KYC and giving that control more to the consumer is what actually ensures the success of KYC. So ensuring the consumer has the right or the convenience to choose when he does want to do the KYC, and once he has scheduled a call, he wants to reschedule, because in this work from home scenario, a lot of things happen, and they should have the ability to reschedule it. So ensuring the rescheduling option is also available, and then constant communication over SMS, WhatsApp, the reminders before KYC, along with the documentation that, hey, you need to keep these documents ready. I think that is the major requirement of ensuring a proper KYC to be done. So even in the recent example, like I applied for a credit card from one of the banks, and that KYC actually went smoothly. I think the only challenge which I faced is they normally don't support iPhone. So I don't know why that was the case, but they asked me to have an Android phone in place so that the video can happen on the Android phone, and then the rest of the journey actually happens. So in one of the companies, the earlier where I was working, one of the use case or the benefits which we saw was with this Muthoot Gold Finance. They actually had this gold loan launch, and the KYC needs to be done, right? In the earlier cases, a consumer actually needed to go with the documentation and carrying the gold. Also, that was a risky thing to the bank. But with this video KYC, they were actually able to solve this problem. The consumer was able to, rather than sending a guy to do the KYC, the KYC was done earlier, and only when the things is authenticated, then only they used to send the person to collect the physical gold and all those things. So that ensured a drastic improvement in their efficiency. In their one is obviously the reduction in the number of people visiting the branches, plus increase in the loan dispersals as well. So I think that's one of the beauty of this solution, and what started in pandemic has actually even continued so far as well. So that's the viewpoint.
Yep. Thank you, Bushra. And I think you did bring out a lot of aspects to that, on which I'm going to come at a later stage. But going to you, Enoch. So herein we are talking about the technology, the workflow, how it has been set it up, whether right from the start when it is being initiated, till the time it is being completed. Now, when I look from a marketing angle, from a marketeer standpoint, what is your perspective, Enoch, or if you would have come across, you can say, the insights or some of the use cases from your customer that this has really helped them out in boosting up their pipeline or boosting up their sales? Like just now, Pushar mentioned that the efficiency, the loan dispersal was happening at a much faster rate. So any examples or any insights you would like to share from the sales and marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the past, before RBI released these guidelines in 2020, the process of KYC were extremely cumbersome. I mean, you have had to fill in so many documents. The person had to come home, and or you would have had to go to a bank. Whether it's a regular bank or NBFC or any other financial institution. The entire process was extremely tedious. Obviously, it's a frustrating thing for a customer as well. So if you look at it from a sales or a marketer's perspective, also, for example, from a bank's perspective, if you look at someone trying to having someone open a new account or make some deposits and things like that, or even take a credit card, for example, while there is a set of propositions, the entire the offers that the bank is giving. You also need to make a lot of time to go specifically either to the bank or wait for that person to come home and fill their entire documentation, and that's quite a bit of time involved. So after this process has come into play, Pushparaj mentioned, that experience has become more seamless. I mean, while there are still some concerns related to cybersecurity, and obviously there are frauds reported and so on, but the idea of smoothening out the entire KYC process through VKYC, and reducing that amount of documentation, fastening the process of approvals as well. So that obviously increases customer experience, which means a marketer is always on the winning side when it comes to letting a customer know that hey, your process, what used to take 10 steps earlier, would take 2 or 3 steps now. So that obviously is going to help them be on the winning side. The marketers also need to ensure that the questions around cybersecurity, the aspects around training the actual person who is doing the KYC. For example, someone who is assigned to do the VKYC process, if they're not trained enough, or if they're not aware of the steps that need to be taken to ensure that whoever the customer is that they're handling are taken through that, and that seamless journey of completion of the KYC process, that also it can cause some level of frustration. So like Pushkaraj mentioned, it doesn't work on iPhone. So what if I'm an iPhone user and don't have an Android phone, right? How am I going to deal with it? I possibly could lose that customer because they don't want to get an Android phone to just complete that process. So there are situations like that. On top of that, you'll also have to address certain concerns in terms of how are you going to handle security? What layers of security are you going to use? What is the possibility that my information is not going to get stolen by hackers? There are reports of more like fake loans that were distributed on a certain customer's name using their KYC. So there are so many such questions that also arise. So it's important for marketers as well as sales to educate, drive that awareness, as well as ensure that internally they are very well aligned and fully understand what the end customer wants, and make sure the expectations are also very well aligned to the customer service representative or the person who is actually dealing with the end customer. So that process has to be pretty much aligned and streamlined as well.
Exactly, Enoch. In fact, that was one of the point on which I left the first session with Enoch, with Rob, that it's good to have the technology, and it's really great that we have this kind of you can say capability. And then if we bring in the video KYC just for this particular discussion, we have that into the picture. Then how are we also engaging our other team members, whether it's marketing, whether it's you can say definitely sales, or whether it's customer success? Because of course a developer or the technology, they have done their job, right? So video KYC facility is there, but what about the entire user experience? What are their concern, and how we are educating our prospects and customers that hey, don't worry, this is there, but then this is one way, but then what are the customers actually getting the experience during this entire process, whether it is relegated back to the people who have created this entire workflow or not? I think that's one of the part which we would really like to have more follow-on discussions in our upcoming sessions. But yeah, coming to the second point, wherein we were talking about the sales and marketing, right? So do you think that it can also be utilized for the assisted sales use case? Did you also come across?
Yeah, absolutely. So and right now customers don't need someone to proactively reach out to them, right? So customers are doing their own research. If I want a credit card, if I want to buy anything, I'm not really going and talking to somebody to begin with. either I take a peer review, I speak with someone I know, or I would go start doing my own research, identifying, if I'm looking at an insurance policy or a credit card or any other type of information. I'm first going in and doing my own research, doing a comparison between different options available, and so on and so forth. So the customer is already getting some level of initial awareness, or at least they're able to educate themselves initially before even approaching sales or talking to someone from the end